Good morning. Are you awake yet? I hope so. But if you're not, it's time to set the alarm and gently start waking yourself up, lest you get the rude awakening of a bucket of ice water on your head should you oversleep. I'm Mary Beth Sabatek, the founder of the Psychoenergetic Institute and the developer of the energy model of therapeutic change. As we know, the Great Awakening and being awake is like the latest term. There's always these terms that come out, and it's sometimes they're new epiphanies and sometimes they're just buzzwords, but there really is an awakening going on right now. And I myself had a very slow awakening, probably from the years 2000 or actually 19 around 1999 till about 2012, and by then I was fully awake. So before we go there, let's talk about what being awake is. Being awake is thinking and seeing from your soul. Now, if you look at what how we think in how we respond to life, we think in four ways or from four different points of view. And the first one is we think from our mind. That's science and logic. We say, this appears this way, and that's logical. We evaluate it, and so we make our decisions accordingly. That's one way. We base a lot of our decisions on the latest science and that's kind of fed to us without really going beyond that because well these are the known people, so we kind of stay in that box. The other way that we can think, and some people do, and some of us think from all of them at times. Some people are more prone to like one way or another, but people think from their hearts, and they think with feelings. They think often from a perspective of love or past experiences. So they can look at a situation and they evaluate it on what happened to them in the past. So if it was a good experience, then they're likely to say, hey, I want to build on this. But if it was a bad experience, they're likely to just shut that heart down and shut down and not move forward. So another way that we think is through our emotions. And our emotions are usually based in our own self worth and self value and the confidence or lack of that we have in ourselves. And so we interpret the world, the emotional thinker will make interpretations based on how they're feeling about themselves. And so what it can do is it can bring their myopic their decisions down to a very myopic place. Now we all know that there is a pandemic going on, and we know that there's been so much conflicting information. And but one thing that I really get disturbed when I hear someone say is, well, this happened to my mother, so this is what we have to do for everybody, or I don't want to partake here, so everybody should do what I'm doing. And so those are decisions based on emotions and what kind of self-based. Then there is our decisions or our viewing life thinking from the soul. And that's what this video is about. Being awake is about thinking from the soul. So, just like we described four different ways to think, now let's look at four different ways to think from the soul. And the first one is a mountain view. When we are down here and we are in the middle of a crowd or we are hiking in the woods, and I had this recently happen to me in Sedona. I was with an experienced hiker, and coming back she said, I'm going to let you lead because I want to make sure you think things through and know what you're doing. Well, we went and headed down this trail coming back because we had just come that way now or 2 hours or 3 hours before. And uh, I started down this trail, and she said, no, you're going over to Bell Rock. You're going to be miles out of our way. And I was like, what? And I couldn't see, but it just looked the same. And I couldn't tell what I did. But if I was up on a mountain and I could see those trails, it would have been really evident. If somebody could be up there watching me and they knew who I was and where I was intending to go, and there we had a way to communicate, they could have said, hey, you need to go right. Just like the my hiking guide said to me, is you need to go right. You're going the wrong way. But when we look at things for a mountain view, we are looking at our path in our life so that when we're in that moment where things seem hopeless or, life has seasons. And I was talking to my son today and he was a little bit frustrated with some aspects of his situation right now. And he said the thing is I know there's a bigger picture. I know I watch the people on this journey ahead of me and how fast they get promoted up and how they're off really successful. And so that's what keeps me going. So thinking from the soul means that we can the mountain view, when we think from a mountain view, we're looking at our own journey. And so we're able to, instead of panicking and quitting, and in his case, he just relocated across the United States from one end to the other to take on a job. And it was, a little bit, he'd always worked for himself, and he still has a business on the side, but so it would have been easy for him if he wasn't taking that mountain view to think from the emotions or the mind that says, gee, I have to drive all this way, or there's a ton of obstacles he could look at. But when he looks at it from the mountain view, he can see where he's going and he can see the way to get there. And even though the path might not be as fun or as fulfilling in that part of it, he can see that if he gets just around that bend, then he will have gotten to where he wants to go. The next view that we look through is the helicopter view. And when we look at things through a helicopter view, we're a little higher than a mountain. So we can go up above one of the tallest mountains and we can zip down and take a closer look. But this enables us to see a different perspective of the people around us in their own journeys. So, how many times has somebody come to you and you see them struggling or going through something and it's so frustrating, and or we look at our neighbor and we tend to judge, but we really don't have the full picture even if we think we do. And it's one of the mistakes as you evolve through this process is to think, oh, I'm awake, I have this all knowing, which none of us do, trust me. So we start like thinking, well, we have this higher picture, but as we go into a helicopter view, then we're able to have more compassion and understanding of the people that are in our proximity, our friends, our family, our neighbors. And the next way that we think from the soul is the airplane view. So the airplane gets us a lot higher. We can look more at some of the things that are happening and the things that are going on. Uh, and I even hate to say, but politically, and we can look at it from an airplane view. How is this affecting my community, my state, my country? So we get more of a perspective, and we're going to talk about the secret to, there's more to thinking from the soul. It's not just taking an opinion and going, oh, I got to fix that. So we're going to get there in a minute, but we have more of a concept of who we are, who our friends and family are, and who our community is in this whole scope of the country. So now let's talk quickly about the spaceship view. And the spaceship view is looking at our planet collectively and to see it and value it as the precious, life giving Mother Earth that she is. And we can start looking at things not from a logic or mind based only and or science based, because science is only as good as who pays for it. And so sometimes there's opposing views that never get put out there because they're not popular or the wrong person is paying for it. So we can look at the earth and think beyond our emotions. And one thing that really I grieves me is when I hear people say, "Oh, humans are a cancer," people stink and people are jerks and all this. But if you look at the collective, we all really want one thing, and we'll talk about that. But we really want to feel valued and to be able to contribute and know our purpose and enjoy the experience. And so I think in a lot of ways we want the same thing. We want a peaceful experience. And so when we, um, as we, the difference with collective is uh, in earth or not being awake is we think from one of our four mind, heart, emotions, or soul. The soul obviously is being awake. So the other thing is we, as we go, okay, so if we look at how to, as we think from the soul and we see these things and we see these different perspectives, how do we still know our perspectives are right? Or how do we know what's true and what is real? We live in a world of media optics and of things taken out of context in little pieces. And so when we talk about some of the higher views, one of the things, if I hear something that's disturbing, oh, this person said this or that, the first thing I do is go to it and I start getting the context. And but anyway, so let's talk about this. So how do we know what the right answers are? And how do we know, is it the left that's right or the um, right that's right? Or our is it this group spot or that, or this religion or that? So how do we know that? Well, first of all, if you are thinking from your soul and if you are awake, then there are no generalities. There is no labeling, as far as there's physical labels that we have. Okay, we know that some people are black, some people are white, some people are male, some people are female. There's those cases where sometimes they can have both genders, but that's not what this video is about. But we know that there's some things that we can see that are obvious, but there's other things like generalities, as far as this group is all bad or it's all their fault. I can't stand when I see people from the right saying, "Oh, the Democrats," or the people from the left saying, "Oh, the Trumpkins," and I see all this stuff, and what it is it's taking a whole group of people and saying, "This is who you are." And let me tell you, there's a lot of not so good people in on both, and there's a lot of fantastic people, but the soul knows no generalities. So the soul doesn't classify like that. So when you hear these classifications, these are from people who are not awake. They might think that they are, but if they are speaking generalities, if they are labeling a group, if they're putting people in one box rather than addressing a specific issue as it rises, or um, not assigning blame to one group of people, then uh, if they if they are uh, if they're not assigning that, they're drinking or they're thinking from their souls and they're awake. But if they are falling into that, that's a trap. That keeps us in a lower vibration, because as long as we're all looking skeptically at each other, and in that, it puts us right back to our mind, our heart, our emotions. And so it keeps us in that low vibration where we're not awake. The other Another aspect of knowing if something is true is, again, we don't, when you look from the soul, you're not generalizing political sides. You're looking above it, and you're looking above all the stereotypes and all the news titles and all the things taken out of context from both sides and all the emotions, and you're getting up here and you're saying what is really best, what really needs to happen. And you're understanding that any narrative like that is an agenda. Anytime it is a divisive narrative, or it is a narrative that favors one group over another or discriminates at one group, then that's a agenda oriented narrative, and it's very low vibration because it's a vibration where we want to control. And so as long as we're in that place, as long as some one person is controlling another, nobody can rise up because these guys can't because they're holding this group down. And so nobody gets above that vibration unless they choose to do it personally. So the soul functions on agape, God love, universal love. It functions on, it believes in, when you're awake, that you believe in well being for everybody, that every human being has a right to live a life of abundance and purpose and contribution, uh, by utilizing the earth resources. And so we're not there yet collectively. When I step back and I look at this from a spaceship view, I can see that collectively as a planet, we are not there. But for people who are awake, they understand that that's where we need to go. We've been there before and we need to go back there. And uh, also, um, in the soul, there are no winners and no losers. So whenever you hear this verbiage of winners and losers, or tough for them, or um, that type of thing, that is a low vibration, asleep, sound asleep mindset and vibration. And so when we hear that, we understand that those people who speak that language are not awake. It's, we should all be winners because collectively, if if this group loses, we all lose because we're not, even if we make a little bit of improvement, we can't because we have dead weight. It's like having people hang on to your coattails. We can never collectively get to this vibration if more people don't start waking up and pushing for that, and recognizing that if the signs of a low vibration asleep message to us. Uh, so there's some things that you can do to raise your own vibration. And the first thing is always take that deep breath, whether it's that one-on-one encounter that you're having or that news title. You know, memes drive me insane because it can come out and it can say, oh, this happened here, and it can be something little like this kid got picked on because his, he's got one eye, and then you have all these people screaming and yelling and all the, and so what it does is it creates all this very low vibration energy. And the more low vibration we are, the more we're controlled. The more we stay down here, we're not able to access our higher self, our purpose, and our passions, and the true power that we have as humans, even with our body to heal itself. We don't have that access if we're in that low vibration of stress and us against them, because it keeps us in this level physically and emotionally and in our mind of uh, of maybe fight or flight, or just again that vibration of we got to win and we got to fight against these other people. The other thing is do your own research and don't be afraid to go out of the box. There is a ton of researchers out there, and look at what resonates. Don't be afraid to look at the message. I have a rule of thumb, and this, I don't really watch any news. Uh, but my rule of thumb is if I see a title and it has an opinion in the title, I don't even open it because I already know what the agenda is. And to me, that's agenda oriented uh, news or information passing. So that's my first criteria, and then I also will step back. I take a deep breath because you see this poor kid, and and find out that he's been bullying, or supposedly the meme says, But go back, do the research. If it's sometimes if there's alternative research on the whatever it is, the epidemic health. I'm into holistic health and have been for 20 to 25 years, and so I've always looked at alternative scientists and doctors. But the first thing I do is make sure they're out there, and I Google, I look at their records, I look at what people have to say and things. And of course, some of that's going away too. So we have to be careful where we're doing our research, and it may go beyond online, or I should say, not beyond, but back to where we were 25, 30 years ago. So, but do your own research. Don't let somebody tell you. And so many times I've seen someone say, well, show me your sources, this and that. But what I have found is, there were times I wanted to try to get people to think a little higher and let me see your source. Well, you give them a source and they don't read it, they're not going to go. They're just going to fight with you and ridicule you. So I've gotten so that I tell people, uh, when I have this discussion, is that handing a source to someone is like handing money to a child and never making him work to earn it. So he doesn't appreciate it and he has no value in it. But it's when people start waking up and they start seeing things and saying, I'm going to check this on my own. I'm going to go a little bit beyond this. Then you've earned it, and then you appreciate it. So, and then the other thing is again, if it's win lose, it's not of the soul. Just be aware that so much of what we see in movies and on TV and in the media and advertising, it's all an illusion. And our real peace and purpose and happiness, the real way to be awake, is go back to Mother Earth, go back to your spiritual roots and your foundation, and and work on raising your spiritual vibration, get in connection with the Creator and the earth that provides us, it grounds us, it gives us what we need, and it helps us when our body doesn't have all the chemicals and junk food and fast foods and things that it has to work on. Then it can heal itself, and we can be more clear minded and less emotional, less reactive, because our body's also getting what it's needs, and it's not under stress. So as you go on in this very strange twilight zone world of 2021, really every day just pray. And another thing, do your meditation. Find, I like to YouTube like a nice like release blockages, or I some type of musical video, where a lot of times a guided meditation. We're going to be putting them out on our website at the Psychoenergetic Institute, because I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. And but meditate and just quiet yourself, and allow yourself to just be and receive new information, receive that spiritual help from your higher self, your guardian angels, your Creator, and just expand that vibration, and wake yourself up gently and beautifully, because at some point we are all going to be awake, and you don't want to be jarred awake. So just have a beautiful wake up, and work on it every day. And I hope that you've enjoyed this. Subscribe to my site here, and come and see us at theenergymodelofchange.com and find out more about how you can raise your vibration and find and live your purpose. Thanks again. I'm Mary Beth Savatek, founder of the Psychoenergetic Institute and creator of the Energy Model of Therapeutic Change. Have a great day.